Yeah, Jose, go ahead. Please go ahead, Jose.
Okay, okay. So we're going to transmit now, right?
Jose Daniel, are we transmitting?
Yes, I think now we're transmitting. So hello, everyone. Good to have you here for the Doctoral Symposium keynote speech by Professor Laurie Williams. Laurie Williams is a distinguished university professor in the Computer Science Department of the College of Engineering at North Carolina State University, NCSU. Laurie is a co-director of the NCSU Science of Security lablet sponsored by the National Security Agency, the NCSU Security Computing Institute, and is the principal cybersecurity technologist of the Secure America Institute. Laurie's research focuses on software security, agile software development practices and processes, particularly continuous development, and software reliability, software testing and analysis. Laurie is an ACM IEEE Fellow, and we are happy to have her here today to talk about life after PhD. Laurie, welcome to the opening talk of our Doctoral Symposium, and have a nice keynote speech. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm very happy to be here today. Let me just pull my slides up so we can get started. All right, I think we're set. So again, I'm thrilled to be with you here today. So the title of my talk is Life Before and After a PhD, because there's a lot of similarities in the life of an academic before and after a PhD, but I will talk about some differences as well. You have down at the bottom, the vibrant academic. And so that's kind of a cause that I have, which is for academics who can be super stressed out to actually live a vibrant life, where vibrant you can define as pulsating with life, vigor, and activity. So a very exciting, fun academic. So what does that mean? So one thing that just a mindset that I'd like to bring out is the way we are versus an athlete. So this is actually Michael Phelps, a swimmer that won lots and lots of medals in the Rio Olympics. So bringing it back to your place. And so when you think about a swimmer, he is an athlete. His life is about being an athlete. And so sure, there are certain number of hours a day that he is swimming, but other hours of the day, he is likely to be doing things to enhance his ability to be a good athlete. Those might include, things like running or weightlifting that are directly related to being physical, but he is likely to sleep a lot. He is likely to eat healthy. He's likely to bring some type of relaxation into his day because he wants to maximize his physical body when he actually does swim. And so if you think about that, his life is about being an athlete. Our life is about being an academic. So we are all about our brains. Our brains really need to be working at maximum capacity so that we can be as successful and contribute as much as possible. And so what do we need to do? So it's not like Michael Phelps just shows up at the pool once a day for so many hours and expects to do well. Similar with us, we can't necessarily think we can do whatever we want all day, except for, when we go to our laptop, then we need to be an academic. Maybe we also have to be more holistic about what we do. And that's what we'll be talking about. There are benefits for Michael Phelps and all athletes for their lifestyle, their healthy lifestyle. Similar if we as academics have a similar healthy lifestyle, forever young. So we will combat aging, combat, immunity problems if we have a healthy lifestyle. And also we'll have a lot of energy to have as much fun as we want in our life. So there are some side benefits in addition to having some academic contribution. So all of you doctoral students in the Doctoral Symposium, you have self-selected yourself to be part of the 1.2% of the people who walk the face of this earth that have a PhD or are trying to have a PhD. Small segment of the people who walk this earth, and you chose to be one of them. And that means that as you choose to be one of those, you should be thinking about your brain, because that's what you're all about. So before we launch in, let me just tell you who I am. As was said, I'm a professor at NC State University, but as far as along the way, I got an industrial engineering degree at Lehigh University in Pennsylvania in the US. And I got an MBA from Duke University and a PhD in computer science from University of Utah. So I've had a kind of a confusing academic past, but I'm settled solidly in computer science now. I did work at IBM for 9 years, actually, after my bachelor's degree at Lehigh, and then decided to go into become an academic. I also have 3 grown children now. These grown children were babies when I got my PhD. So I got a PhD when I had 3 children already, and I managed getting tenure and going through the process with 3 children. So these might lead you to have some questions later on. So as far as, what is this about? One thing that I'll say that as I go through, what does it mean? What are the practices we can adopt to be a vibrant academic? A lot of it is adopting new habits. And, I'll give you a whole list of different things you can do in order to improve, your brain health and whatnot. And you won't do them all. I can't do them all either, but they are habits. Some things become habits. And then when they become habits, it's harder to not do them than it is to do them. And so just as one other side note, I do in this past COVID time, I actually taught a course to our PhD students called Academic Vibrancy. And I'm giving you some of the selection of the slides from a whole semester course. And almost all of the references are PhDs. So I think it's important for us as academics, we respect things that people with PhDs have studied. And one of them is this habits. And so what this particular book on habits is saying is make an algorithm out of your habits. So after I will something, and then I'll celebrate. For example, after I wake up, I will meditate, and then I'll celebrate. And the celebrate is the important thing. That's something that we might forget to do, is to really congratulate ourselves for doing something good. Like, after I wake up, I will eat a healthy breakfast, and then I'll celebrate. And on the right side, that's like me. So one thing that's important to be thinking about is, what is your identity? Because you'll act according to your identity. That's why people will say, like, if you win the lottery, if your identity is I'm a poor person and you win the lottery, you'll make yourself a poor person again. If you say I'm a fat person and then you lose weight, you'll probably gain it back because your identity is a fat person. So it's important to think of your identity. Like, is my identity, I'm a healthy person. I'm a person who sleeps. That's like me, thinking about that. And then celebrating yourself when you have habits accordingly. So thinking about the different habits that you might adopt as we go through this. And so one thing, and this is work that was done actually here in North Carolina, Barbara Frederickson at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. She talks about positivity resonance. Positive resonance are micro moments of connection with others over a shared positive emotion. So interacting with other people. And what she says as a habit is to make sure that you provide opportunities to have positivity resonance at least 3 times a day. This is particularly, important in the times of COVID, where we're kind of, separating from other people. We want to make sure that we are connecting as much as possible. And so how do we do that? Like, here's take walks, even just say hello to someone as you're walking down the street, or say, have a little conversation with the cashier. The bottom is, make some kind of a call, look at someone that you love, look at a friend and have a conversation with them. play games, get together. And you might think, how does this help getting a PhD? It actually does. So having this positivity resonance and being with other people has lots of benefits. So I have on some of the slides WIIFM, which is short for what's in it for me. And so if you have this connection with other people, it improves your health, including increasing your vagal tone, which is in your brain, that improves your ability to love. It improves your oxytocin, which is a hormone that makes you calmer, friendlier, more open, more cooperative, more trusting, builds your personal resilience. Natural anti-aging, which if you're a PhD student, maybe you don't care about it as much, but just you feel and look younger if you have this community around you, and makes you more optimistic. So key is to be thinking, particularly in these days where everyone's working from home, studying from home, can you get out and actually make a connection with somebody? Another thing to make sure you are watching is happiness. So are you a happy person? And here's some more research about happiness. And what it says for happiness is, this research is that about half of our happiness is our genetic set point. So people come out, they're born happier people or less happier people. So it is genetic. Part of it is genetic. 40% is intentional, so activities that you do in order to increase your happiness, and 10% are your circumstances, like you really did lose someone that you love, or you really did have a car accident, or you really did, something happened that really would impact your happiness temporarily, at least. But more recent brain research says that we can change our genetics. So neuroplasticity, epigenetics, these are studies of the brain that say we can change our genes, we can change our, the way our brain works. So really, if you decide to be a happy person and you take action to be a happy person, you'll be happier and not view yourself as a victim. So, are you willing to practice it? Do specific intentional activities so that you're a happier person. Some of the aspects or ways to have happiness practices is, one is to feel grateful. So stop yourself at different points of the day and think, what do I have to be grateful for? No matter what is going on, what do you have to be grateful for? You have a computer, you have a house, you have a family who loves you, you had someone said something nice to you. So just thinking about, what are you grateful for? Stop yourself, in a quiet moment and think about, what are you grateful for? I'm having social connections that will help make you happier. I'm having strategies to manage your stress will help as well. Living in the present. So living in the present says, forgive people from the past. Don't worry about the future. The future is is creating anxiety about something that hasn't happened yet. So try to live where you are right now. Be mindful is a word that you often hear. Commit to your goals. And that's something that is important for PhD students, is because it's a tough road. Getting your PhD it's tough. And so commit to that goal and knock everything out of the way that's in your path that causes problems in that way. And then body and soul. So body is, take care of your physical body. That will make you happier if your body is healthier and you have a lot under your control that way. And soul, things like meditation, mindfulness, which we'll talk about. So these are things you say, I'm going to do this, and that will make you happier. And that's a good thing. So meditation. So this is something that I think about. So I do meditate every day, try to meditate every day at some point. And here's a quote that says, a half an hour meditation each day is essential, except when you're busy, then a full hour is needed. And one of the things that I will say is, when I know I'm entering a very stressful time period, I'll take some of the things that we're talking about today and I will do them twice as much, because I understand that if I just let stress take over, my physical body and my mental state, then I'm not going to be able to perform. So I really do, what this person is saying is true, that, you know, when you really are in a stressful time, even more exercise, meditate and whatnot. And so what I'm going to do right now to kind of, I don't know how many people are out there, but I would like you to just actually meditate. We'll go for 2 minutes, okay? And so I'm going to stop for 2 minutes. And what I'd ask you to do for those 2 minutes is just to close your eyes and try your best to think about nothing. Just relax, okay? So I'm going to count back from 5. And when I get to 1, close your eyes and just relax. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, close your eyes, let go of the day. And just try to do nothing. All right, so come on back. And I hope that you really took advantage of that. And I wish we had, you know, the ability to communicate back and forth. And I would ask you, you know, what did you feel? And, you know, when I've done this with live people, you know, if you hadn't meditated before, some people are really amazed at the effect even 2 minutes can have. And so like I do meditate for longer, but I will encourage you in the middle of a stressful day, when you're feeling stressed, just stop and walk away, sit someplace else and close your eyes for 2 or 3 minutes. You can afford that. And you'll see an amazing change when you go back to your work just from that. And a lot of times what I'll say when I do meditate, I will get, you know, just getting like, oh yeah, I should do that. Like I'll get inspiration. I'll get thoughts that because I had been trying so hard that didn't come through. So I'm a big proponent of meditation. The other thing similar, you know, in a similar type of effect is controlling your breathing. And this is something we can't do, but I would encourage you to look up this Wim Hof breathing. It's a, you know, Wim Hof is a man who really is a proponent of this Wim Hof breathing, where you know, and the cycle, and there's zillions of YouTube videos, and you just go with the YouTube video. But in the Wim Hof breathing, you inhale through your nose and fill up your lungs, and then you have a cycle 30 times of breathing in and out, in and out, in and out quickly, relatively quickly. But if you follow the video, he'll keep you at the pace. And then after 30 of those, you breathe out, you exhale as much as you can, and then you hold your breath for say 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. You hold your breath. And then you breathe, after the time has passed, you breathe in and you hold that for 15 or 20 seconds, and then you relax. And his cycle is 4 times. And, you know, I'll say on the next slide, the type of benefits that you'll see. The other thing that he's sitting in snow like that. He is, you know, he believes, he says that when you do this type of breathing and you expose yourself to the cold, I mean, he can he's run marathons barefoot. He sits in the cold. He jumps in cold water. And, you know, he says that that's something that enables him a lot of benefits. So boosted your immune system with COVID. We want to have a boosted immune system, improve mental health, sleep better, increase sports performance, relieve stress, and more energy. So these are things we all want. He does have, so breathing is a big thing. Cold therapy is another thing. So he's in a pool there. There's a lot of research that says getting in a cold shower, getting in a cold pool, getting in cold water is really good for your health. And he's a big proponent of that too. And he's saying that the breathing that he teaches will help you with your cold therapy as well. This one we will do. This is another, so Wim Hof's 4 cycles takes about 15 minutes. Something that you could do any time of the day or night is just this Dr. Andrew Weil has a method of breathing. And what he says, 2 things. First of all, it will help you to calm down. So it relieves stress. But the other thing is that it'll improve your heart health. And Dr. Andrew Weil is, I don't know how old he is, maybe 80, 75. He's been around a while, and he has very good health. And even his resting heart rate is quite good. Like, you know, he says 40 or 50 beats per minute, which is quite low. And he says, you know, he just lives a normal life, and he attributes a lot of it to having this type of breathing pattern, and he does it several times a day. And so we'll do this because it'll only take about 20 seconds or so. And so what you want to do is breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold on to that breath for 7, and then breathe out for 8. So you're breathing out longer than you're breathing in. So, you know, you're all out there by yourself. So let's do this together. So breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we did that twice. He advocates that you do it 4 times and do it at any time of day, including like if you're having trouble falling asleep, it's a good thing to do. It's very relaxing. So breathing, you know, because, you know, getting a Ph.D. is stressful. This is a way to relieve your stress. All right, the next subject is something that is written by Dr. Cal Newport, who's an associate professor of computer science at Georgetown. And if I was to say, you know, who do I admire a lot of people, but I really admire Cal Newport. So all of those books on the right are New York Times best-selling books that have nothing to do with computer science. But he also is extremely successful in computer science as well. If you look at his webpage, you'll see all kinds of publications, PhD students he supports, funding. He was the director of graduate programs for last year, for a couple of years before that. So he's completely successful as a computer science faculty member. And in his spare time, he writes New York Times best-selling books. But the thing that I really admire about him is he has good balance in his life. So he says he does all of this, you know, I'm going to say maybe something like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. He does all of his computer science stuff and all of his books, and his books are full of research. So he is the epitome of using his brain and having a balanced life so that he can be with his family. So what I'll focus on is the book on the upper right, Deep Work. So deep work, he defines as professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive abilities to their limits, These efforts create new value, improve your skill, and are hard to replicate. Deep work is necessary to wring every last drop of value out of your current intellectual capacity. We now know from decades of research in both psychology and neuroscience that the state of mental strain that accompanies deep work is also necessary to improve your ability. So deep work is working in distraction-free concentration. So that means you're not checking your email, you're not checking social media, you're not doing multiple things at the same time. You're really just focusing on one thing. And he has this deep work hypothesis. The ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the same time it's becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. As a consequence, the few who cultivate this skill and make it at the core of their work life will thrive. So there's not that many people who can actually concentrate for, what it seems to me from reading the book, the sweet spot's like 90 minutes. So focus 90 minutes on your task, no interruptions. And so these are some of the rules that he has. And thinking about, again, that this is a habit. Remember we had, and I didn't really focus so much on the ABC back on that habit slot, but A is anchor, B is behavior, C is celebrate. So anchor is what is the prompt when I wake up after my coffee, that's the anchor. Then the behavior is what you do, and then you celebrate. And so having a habit of working deeply. And one thing that is a saying that I really like is creative before reactive. So we are all in a very reactive life, and the life after PhD, reactive will be even more, more common. So reactive says you got an email, you have to act on it. You got a student showed up in your door. Something is going to cause you to need to react. And so be creative before you're reactive. And so 7:30 a.m. to 9 are my deep work hours, because I can shut the world out until 9 a.m. So, so you want to think about after, like, this is the ABC. After my shower, I will do deep work for 90 minutes and then smile, that's to celebrate, before I open my email for the first time of the day. So that's a habit. That's how you can make a habit. It may, like 90 minutes may be too long for you. And one of the things about habits is to make them, and I didn't emphasize this as much with the habits, is to make them so tiny you can't fail. So like a habit could be to do push-ups, but if you say, I'm going to do 20 push-ups at 12 o'clock, maybe you can't do 20 push-ups. And after 18, you can't do anymore. And you're like, I give up. I'm not doing this. Well, if you make it a tiny habit, maybe you say at 12 o'clock, I'm going to do 2 push-ups. So you make it as tiny as possible. Similar with focusing on deep work. Maybe you can't do 90 minutes. So do 10 minutes, do 5 minutes, and then build up. So build your muscle for working without distraction. Okay. So you want to make it a habit, put it in your schedule, and have it not negotiable. Another thing that he says is to embrace boredom. So we, in this cell phone world, this smartphone world, we're always doing something. So, if we're at a red light, we look at our phone. We're on the grocery line, we look at our phone. And, what he really says is if we embrace boredom, so just like doing nothing, you're at the red light, you do nothing. You're on the grocery line, do nothing, that will help your creativity. So that's another thing to really try to focus on, is time where your brain is doing nothing, so that you can have insights. He says, quit social media. I think we all know that social media is an addiction. It is a distraction. We do compare ourselves with other people. It can cause unhappiness. It can cause depression. Some people can't think about quitting, but can you limit it? Can you get down the path? Put something on your phone so you only have so many hours or so many minutes a day or whatnot to limit your social media time. And then the last habit, he says, drain the shallows. So schedule your day. So what do you expect to do at all times? and that will bring you more into the present and you'll get more done. So those are the deep work. And with that, there is a pattern: stress plus rest equals growth. So we might think if we just keep working, that's the best thing, because after all, we are PhD students, or we are faculty trying to get tenure. We just have to keep working. But there's lots of, neuroscientists and whatnot that say we really do have to cycle, stress ourselves out mentally or physically, but we're the ones who do it mentally a lot. Stress yourself out and then stop and have a rhythm of stress, rest. And that could be like, there's a Pomodoro method, if you've heard of that, which says work 25 minutes, that's it. And then go take at least 5-minute break. The 90 minutes that I talked about before, of distraction free, that's kind of on the edge of how long a neuroscientist would say you should work without interruption. But even within that 90 minutes, maybe halfway through, I'll stop and do some burpees or do some push-ups, something like to change and then come back. So, here's the guy in the middle. So he wrote a book, Peak Performance, and I don't think I can say his name, but anyway, he says the brightest minds spend their time either pursuing an activity with ferocious intensity or engaging in complete restoration and recovery. And so the main thing that I want you to take away is that when you do rest, you need to rest. It's part of maximizing your brain. It's not something that you should feel guilty about. And along those lines, you're not a hero if you sleep less. You're not a hero if you go to sleep after midnight. Like, we really do have to value sleep, which is a different it's a change to our culture. There, research that says, if you think, oh, I don't need to sleep though, I actually do fine on 4 hours sleep. I do fine on 5 hours sleep. There's science that says the chances you can survive and thrive on less than 7 hours sleep a night is 1 in 12,000. Greater chance of that you'd be struck by lightning than you can actually thrive on less than 7 hours sleep. So it's not helping you with your performance. It's not helping your research. It's not helping you with anything by not sleeping. So, getting a rhythm so that you can sleep is really important. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, and there's lots of case studies of people who, Elon Musk and Bill Gates, and that sleep a lot, 8-9 hours. And so Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, says, when forced to choose, I will not trade even a night's sleep for the chance of extra profit. So, the people, a lot of people we admire, they really value sleep. We should value sleep as well. How to get more sleep? Because then you might say, well, I can't sleep, which is a problem a lot of people have. And so some of the things that you can do to get more sleep, one is to have an eating sunset. So an eating sunset means that you shouldn't eat all the way to get to going to bed. That will cause you to have problems sleeping. So you should have your last meal 2 to 4 hours before you sleep. And one of the benefits of that is a biological process called autophagy. Autophagy is when your brain, like your body, can clean out the bad cells of your brain at night. So your body can only do a couple things, or one thing. One is digest food. So if your body's focused on digesting food, it doesn't do this autophagy process. And so you want to not eat so that your brain can get cleaned out. A caffeine sunset, alcohol sunset, exercise sunset. So these are things you shouldn't do too close to bed. Have a routine of when do you wake up, when do you go to sleep. Have a very dark room, wear eye shades if you need to. Keep your room cool. One thing that is also important is, and this goes along with meditation, is that just like your body digests your food, your brain digests your day. And so the longer you go mentally before you go to sleep, the less you would have had the chance for your brain to process your day. And then you get an opportunity to process your day in the middle of the night, because it'll wake you up and cause you to be awake. so that it can process your day. So the more you can have like a amount of time before you go to sleep, you can just relax, the better. There's Hal Elrod has something called the miracle morning. And so the morning routine is something that a lot of people do focus on, of what do you do when you wake up? And so the miracle morning, he has acronym SAVERS. So silence is, meditation. Affirmation. So affirmation is, you write down some things that are important to you, and to tell yourself, like, I am on my way to get my PhD. Like, one thing that I like to tell my students is to think of yourself as Dr. whatever your last name is already, and to act that way. So this is what it feels like when you're getting your PhD in a year. Like, just kind of get that affirmation of you achieving your goals, and be thinking about it every day, visualizing yourself in that future that you want, exercising for a bit, reading something inspirational or educational, and scribing. So, journaling. And so what this Hal Elrod in the Miracle Morning says, 10 minutes of each of these. So an hour to go through that. There's also Robin Sharma, who has the 5 a.m. club. His doesn't have quite this number of steps, but it is, some things that you should do in the morning to get yourself going. Thinking like, you brush your teeth every morning, you take a shower every morning, you take care of your physical body every morning. How can you take care of your mental body and get yourself mentally ready for the day as well? And so this is David Allen. David Allen has a methodology called Getting Things Done. It's a good methodology, something to look up. He advocates, some things that you probably, could already imagine, but, writing down your goals, breaking your goals down into small pieces so that you can achieve them. And he really, like what David Allen says, is that when we have our to-do list in our head, then part of our brain is thinking about that to-do list is cycling and cycling and cycling. We're managing it in our head. Or if we actually have a really reliable system for writing down all the tasks that we have to do, then our brain can relax on spinning on the to-do list, because the brain can trust, I just need to go to my system, which I have an app called Things 3, which goes along with Getting Things Done, which gets everything out of the system. But some philosophies there. David Allen says much of the stress that people feel doesn't come from having too much to do. It comes from not finishing what they've started. So break things down in small enough chunks that you can get started and get finished and feel like you're making progress. Also, a task left undone remains undone in two places: at the actual location of the task and inside your head. Incomplete tasks in your head consume the energy of your attention as they gnaw at your conscience. So good to have a system, write it down, break it into small chunks, and get some things done. So this is about the food we eat. So there is a gut-brain connection. So what you eat affects your brain, and also your brain affects your body. So it's a big cycle. So what you eat influences your neurotransmitters in your brain, your level of stress and anxiety, your mood and behavior. And then that affects your motility, secretion, nutrient delivery, and microbial balance. So you want to make sure that the main thing is that eating healthy actually is very important. And so here's some brain food. So one thing is water. So the brain is made of 73% water. So you really need to make sure you're drinking a lot of water. Water delivers oxygen and nutrients to our brain. Dehydration is the #1 cause of daytime fatigue, it's really good to remember that. I know when I could be in the afternoon kind of getting tired, I want to go for more caffeine. Now I do stop drinking caffeine, at noon, so that I can sleep, because I'm pretty sensitive to caffeine. But at 2 o'clock, if I'm feeling tired, I want to go get some more tea. But actually, it's likely telling me, my body is likely saying that I'm fatigued. I mean, that I'm dehydrated. So good to go get some water in the afternoon. And so other brain food are fats. So, there are healthy fats, and some lists here of some healthy fats. You don't want to have trans fats. Those are unhealthy for you. Things like cakes, cookies, and pies, microwave popcorn, frozen pizza. Those are things that are likely to have trans fats in them. Things like turmeric, walnuts, and cinnamon help your brain. Here's some more, top foods for your brain health. If you can take a look at all of those. So the bottom line is what you eat will affect your ability to succeed with your brain as well. Exercise is really important. Exercise, there's lots of benefits for exercise, but, and so great to do that. But if not, or in addition to exercise, it's also important just to be a perpetual motion machine. So you want to move as much as possible. So think about, like, don't park as close as you possibly can. Park farther away so you get some more steps. Find reasons to stand up or sit down. Like I have a stand-up desk, and that helps me. It actually helps me to be awake and aware. But what they have said, so sitting is the new smoking. You may have heard that. So you don't want to just sit all day, but you also don't want to stand all day. Because otherwise, like, cashiers and waitresses would be the healthiest people in the world. So you want to actually sit down and stand up. I have a yoga ball. So when I push my desk down, I sit on a yoga ball, which causes me to have to, like, use my core strength to stay seated. But you want to just have a reason to stand up and sit down. Good to stretch at different times. Set a timer, do jumping jacks, burpees, push-ups, take a walk. I mean, some things I do, I mean, to be honest, as I work from home, it's a lot easier than working in the university. But in the middle of the day, if I go to the bathroom, I do 10 push-ups. So something like that. It's a habit. The prompt is I go to the bathroom, then the next thing is I do 10 push-ups, and then celebrate. You have to celebrate. If I have 15 minutes, if a meeting ends, again, helps from working from home. If I have 15 minutes, I'll take a walk. There's all kinds of history that shows the people we admire from the past, Thoreau and some others, they walk. Like, it's helpful to your brain to actually, the movement of walking helps you to have ideas and have breakthroughs. Walk when you listen. So, if I have a meeting that I can, I'll take my phone and I'll just walk during the meeting. So that's good. Take the stairs, walk instead of using an escalator, an elevator, or moving sidewalk. So just move as much as you can. It's not that hard to be thinking about your day and how do you go about just moving more. And so why move? The muscles excrete hormones into our bloodstream that can be referred to as hope modules. Will make you happier, stronger sense of purpose, experience more gratitude, love, joy, and hope, feel more connected to the community, particularly if you're moving with other people, less likely to suffer from loneliness or depression, again, especially if you're moving with other people, have more energy, zest for life. So movement is the way we interact with the world, and we are here. Humans are on the face of the earth to interact. That's why we're here. So you want to try to interact as much as possible, be in nature as much as possible. I feel fortunate where I live that, when I take my walks, I can do a 20-minute loop and I'll be in nature most of that time. So the last thing we want to do before I conclude is, since we're all at home and by ourselves, what I'd like you to do is turn your video off, which you already have, and take your phone, take your device, and just play a song and dance in private, okay? So I'm gonna set the timer for 2 minutes, and I want you to do that. Just, you've been listening for quite a long time. So just take your video off. I can't really see where you are, but just actually move your body, okay? So we're having a movement break for 2 minutes. Ready, go. All right, we'll end that movement break, but I hope you did it. And if you did it, you might realize that you have a lot more energy now. And so that's one thing, again, like, you know, work for 20 minutes or 25 minutes in a Pomodoro, and then, you know, put on a song, shake yourself, move around. That will help you when you get back to work. All right, so that's a bunch of the habits and practices for being a vibrant academic. This is before and after PhD. So you're currently getting a PhD, and I'll just say getting a PhD is a really tough thing. And keeping your mental health and being holistic is super important. So some things are the same before and after a PhD. Some things are different. And so something that's the same is work. It's hard work. It's hard work to get a PhD. It's hard work after. You're likely to get a job where you have to keep working hard. So I remember when I graduated, and you know, my mother said, like, why are you continuing to work so hard? I'm like, because I have a job now. Like, you know, it's hard work, and you don't even have to stop working when you get tenure. It's hard work. So don't expect your workload to go down. Something that's also the same is that there's a lot of subjectivity. So when you're a PhD student, subjectivity meaning it's your committee's opinion, you know, and so it's not like you can get the right answer. The right answer, it's subjective. And so that continues where you're judged by others. So whether it's getting tenure or getting a paper accepted, you're always relying on other people's judgment, which, you know, can be stressful and it doesn't go away. Another thing that is the same is believing in yourself and your goal is super important. So you have to believe you can get a PhD. You have to believe that you can get tenure or get promoted or whatever your goal is. You have to believe it. And I have actually, you know, I do coaching as well. And I have worked with people who thought, I'm never going to get tenure. And if you walk in from your car every day, or now that we're at home, work down the hallway to your office thinking, well, I'm never going to get tenure. I'm never going to graduate. You're not going to. So it's super important for you to believe in yourself and your goal. It's important throughout to have a holistic mental and physical health. This is my 21st year of being a professor, and I'm right now in a very intense time period. And so I know that all of those things that I told you about earlier are more important now. Focusing on holistic mental and physical health is more important right now than when I have less stress. Persistence is essential. You just have to keep going, keep going, keep going. And that's a quality, persistence of keep going, that is needed to get a PhD, to get tenure. And not the whole population is not persistent, but you're the 1.2%. You chose this. You can be persistent. Woody Allen says 80% of success is just showing up. Show up and get it done. You know, write every day for whatever many minutes. Like, just keep doing it. As far as some of the differences, there is more freedom after you graduate. You know, right now you could be working on something that your advisor wants you to do, that you're funded for. Later, you have more freedom, but also with that is the need for self-discipline. So you won't have an advisor or your class or teacher that tells you what to do. You have to do it on your own. So the good side is more freedom and autonomy. the other side is that you have to be self-disciplined. After your PhD, if you're academic, you know, I'll say, or not, but including academic, satisfaction of helping people. I mean, it's really nice to, like, you know, some of the earlier things about positivity, resonance and whatnot, like it's just part of the job. Community is part of the job. After pressure of obtaining financial support. So this is in the US, I'm not sure as much where you are, but like we really are focusing on getting the funding for our PhD students. That's the way. And like, then there's a lot of responsibility. You know, we have a lot of international students. So if I don't have financial support for them, they might need to go back to their country without a degree. So that pressure is a new thing after. And then also even more focus on relationship building. So having a community, like Marcus and I have known each other for a long time, just having a community really helps in the long run. It's even more important to have an academic community. So that's the end. I encourage you to be a vibrant academic and practice some of the things that we talked about today. And now we can use the rest of the time for questions. I hope you have some questions.
Thank you very much, Laurie, for the enlightening talk on so many valuable advice by such a successful researcher. So we are extremely thankful, and so many interesting topics also, from happiness, being grateful, meditation. We had even a meditation session, deep working, limiting social media time, the value of sleep, food, exercise, even dancing. So we had a lot of fun. It was a real amazing talk. Thank you very much. I selected 3 questions here, which we would have time to answer.
Okay.
The first one is from Renata Guizardi, and she asks the following. It is very, very easy to create a habit for 1 week, if we can call that a habit, and then forget about it in the coming weeks. Any tips there to avoid such temporary habits?
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And so the 2 things I'll say, one is research says it takes 21 days to develop a habit. So, and also with that, like, don't try to adopt 5 habits tomorrow, adopt 1 habit tomorrow and really focus on that for 21 days. Put a little, you know, sticky note on your mirror or somewhere to keep reminding yourself, this is my new habit, 21 days, 3 weeks. And then likely by the end of 21 days, it will be a habit. Okay. But you're right. It is easy to give up.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the advice on the number of 21 days. So the next question by Patricia Fernandez, and she asked the following: building on your experience, how to reconcile the execution of our PhD projects with raising young kids? Any special advice for students in such a situation?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, like I did get a PhD and tenure with young kids, and so it's not you know, ideal. Like I do tell. Actually, I can unshare my screen. That would probably help. Let me get that off. Anyway, oops. So anyway, it's one thing that I'll say about it is, do you see my screen anymore?
Yes, we're seeing your screen.
Yeah, it's saying new share. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, I'll try to work that out. So one thing is that I tried not to focus on it. I tried not to feel sorry for myself. I just tried to do it, and I think that helped a lot. So I didn't say like, oh, I'm the one getting a PhD with 3 young children. So I would try to not focus on it that way. But you know, to use, you have a lot of flexibility as an academic, both as a PhD student and in faculty, and to try to use that as much as you can. Which means that, you know, you might have some core hours that you work. I mean, I worked in the summers, you know, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. when the kids woke up, and then I worked again at night. So I used the time. I would really encourage you to look at that book, Deep Work, because in that book, he talks about people who have full-time jobs and get PhDs. Like he said, you know, he gave an example of someone who worked 90 minutes a day and got a PhD. And so it is, if you're, you know, you have these, you know, human beings that you're in charge of, to figure out when can I focus big time and get as much done as you possibly can. And the other thing that I felt when I was a mother doing that is that, like, as I mentioned, that like you should have focus, relaxation. And those kids force you to have relaxation. You have no choice. And then when you go back, then you can have new energy. And I actually felt like that helped me. I remember, like, you know, I had some big exam when I was, you know, a PhD student still taking exams, and I was at the pool with my kids. And I thought, everyone else is studying right now. But I thought, you know, I'm relaxing. Like, I'm going to go to the exam much more relaxed. So, you know, try to think of it as an advantage rather than as a, you know, a victim handicap kind of thing. And really, I mean, I used the whole 24 hours in sleep, but then, like, okay, so I answered email at 10 o'clock, but then I did, you know, versus when I worked at IBM at the time, I didn't feel like I had much flexibility at all of my schedule. And so as an academic, I felt like I could handle these kids so much better than I could with a job.
Okay, great, thanks. One final question by Adolfo Neto. We have time for one more. Do you think PhD students could do a kind of pair research session, online meeting, no talk, just each one studying? Could that be useful for them? Kind of pair research sessions or something in that sense?
Interesting question. So you're saying no talk, so you're both there. I could see that it could work because, you know, you're kind of holding each other accountable. Like, I am physically here and I am focusing. As well as, you know, maybe you give yourself, if it's a pair session, like you schedule somewhere in there, like 5 or 10 minutes in the middle to, like, talk about what you're working on and get some feedback and questions. So I think that could work. I think that's a good suggestion.
Okay, great. Laurie, thank you very much. I would like to call in Marcela. She also wants to say some words, and thank you for the speech. Hi, Marcela. She's co-organizing the Doctoral Symposium. We're co-organizing it together. Hi, Marcela.
Hi, all. Thank you very much, Laurie, for your vibrant talk.
Great.
I liked it a lot, and it surprised me because it really goes beyond the PhD. You have given us tools that serve us for our daily life. I love it, especially dance as no one is watching you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're most welcome. I hope you have a wonderful doctoral symposium.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to show this talk to my students so that they take advantage of this valuable advice. So thank you very much. It was really fun. And
good.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right. You take care.
Thank you very much for the talk. And we're now going to the Doctoral Symposium session, right, which is a private session with the candidates and the board of experts. So, Laurie, thank you very much for being with us. And just remind everyone, there's also another keynote speech by Laurie in the program. So be aware to not miss this one as well. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right.